Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the Nutrition 101 series. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about gut health. Gut health has definitely become like a buzz term, I guess you would call it, in recent years, and honestly for a pretty valid reason. The more that we research and learn about the gut and just how intricate, not only intricate, but how interconnected it is with other areas of the body, the more that we learn that gut health actually plays a big role in potential long-term health consequences. So very interesting stuff. So far in this series, I have already done a video all about digestion, and digestion obviously takes place in the gut. So if you haven't watched that video yet, you definitely should. It will give you some good context for this one, and also digestion is just fascinating. But in this video specifically, I'm going to be talking just about gut health and what exactly that means. So the term health, as defined by the WHO, World Health Organization, is just the absence of disease. But I'm pretty sure we all know, whether it's physical or mental, emotional health, there is so much more than just absence of disease when it comes to being healthy. So let's dive into what exactly gut health looks like. So when it comes to gut health, there are two major entities, two major players involved. So the first one is microbiome, which is that gut bacteria. We also call it microflora. That's another term we can use for it, gut flora. So we have the microbiome is one of our biggest players, and then our also equally as big of a player is the actual gut or GI barrier itself. And when it comes to the GI barrier, it's not simply just like the physical barrier between intestines and the inside of the body. It actually has major roles other than being a physical structure separating the two, such as our immune system, as well as our enteric nervous system, which is basically the nervous system within our intestines. Okay, first let's break down the microbiome. We're going to talk about what it is and what it does. So first off, what the microbiome is it's basically this massive colony of bacteria in our intestines, especially the large intestine. I'm talking trillions of bacteria, guys, all different types of strains, and it's basically just a really rich, diverse colony of bacteria down there. So this bacteria is good bacteria. We want this bacteria. It has so many roles and can provide so many benefits for the body. So one of the biggest roles that our good bacteria in our gut has is to make sure bad bacteria that does get down there doesn't colonize and doesn't take over. These bacteria also play a big role in helping to stimulate and regulate all of the immune cells in our gut. Like I said, the immune system is very present in our gut, so that is just another one of the roles that it has. They can also help to ward off any infections down there, and of course they also help to maintain that physical intestinal barrier, which is so important. So obviously those are some big important tasks, and you can imagine if our gut bacteria is compromised in any way, I mean that affects a lot of systems or processes. And there really are a lot of different things that can affect or compromise our gut bacteria. Antibiotics is a huge one. It wipes out a lot of our good bacteria down there. Also stress can do a number on your microbiome, and then also diet as well can affect it. Now moving on to the actual GI barrier. So of course it is a physical structure that creates separation. It works literally as a barrier, but like I said, it has other important roles too, like our immune system as well as our enteric nervous system. So as far as our immune system, basically we have a host of immune cells down there, all different types of immune cells that are going to recognize different potential pathogens. And of course, if you watched my digestion video, you likely already know this, but so our intestines are rich with surface area as well as access to blood, because digestion is what happens, one of the biggest things that happens in our intestines, and it is important for us to take all the nutrients from the food we are digesting and put them right into our bloodstream so they can go around the body. So our intestines have a ton of surface area and a ton of access to blood vessels. So it is very important and imperative that we've got a host of immune cells down there in case any potential pathogens get into our bodies through whether it's through food or environment. So when they get down there, we want to make sure that we are fighting them off and taking care of them before they're able to mess with the integrity of our barrier, or worse, even get into our bloodstream. That would not be good. So that is why we've got a huge immune presence in our gut. And next, of course, the enteric nervous system. You guys, this is so interesting. Just listen up. Okay. So our enteric nervous system is basically this huge network of neurons that are all throughout our intestines. They're actually the biggest network, or I guess like neuron presence, other than our brain, which is pretty cool. So these neurons basically are in charge of all of the major gut functions. So whether that's secretion or absorption, they also help to maintain the correct or proper permeability of our intestinal lining, because some stuff does have to pass through. And then also they help to regulate or maintain our immune system down there, all those immune cells, as well as our gut flora. Now, while we are on the topic of nervous system presence in our gut, we have to talk about what is called the gut-brain axis. You guys, this is so fascinating, so listen up. So basically, in a nutshell, the gut-brain axis is communication between our central nervous system and our enteric nervous system. So essentially what that means is our microbiota can actually talk to our brain and vice versa. So there can actually be an emotional or cognitive connection with the gut, and it can actually influence how our gut functions. It has been shown that our gut flora can actually regulate our brain chemistry, and it can also influence our endocrine systems, which are major players when it comes to our stress levels and response, and also anxiety. So our, the state of our gut flora, the bacteria down there, can actually physically affect how we feel emotionally. And this can also work the other way around too, because like I said, it's vice versa. Your gut talks to your brain and your brain talks to your gut. So for example, if you sat down to eat something that you've always been told is bad or unhealthy, and you just know it's going to upset your stomach, well, your brain can actually cause there to be dysfunction or malfunction, or just not proper digestion, ideal digestion of that food that you think is going to upset your stomach, and therefore it might upset your stomach. I think the gut-brain axis is just so interesting, and honestly there is still so much that I can learn. It's just incredibly fascinating. So what exactly is gut health then? We now know that there are two key players in order to have a healthy, functioning, happy gut, and that is basically just a rich, diverse, thriving microbiome, as well as an intact, undisturbed GI barrier. And if either or both of these are compromised in any way, it can certainly be linked to increased risk for intestinal diseases, but also extra intestinal diseases too, meaning diseases in other areas of the body. So very interesting stuff. So you may be wondering, okay, well, how can I support my gut and make sure that it is happy and healthy and uncompromised? So one of the best things to do is just make sure that you are supporting that gut bacteria, because that is going to keep everything pretty much happy down there and working as it should. So there are two main ways you can do that, and obviously taking a probiotic. Probiotic is basically just a capsule or a pill or whatever form you take it in of live active cultures, live active bacteria, and they're going to be strains that would be found in your intestine. They're typically always going to have different strains, and probiotics are going to vary which strain they have, but you definitely want to make sure it is rich, as in it's got a lot of diversity. There are different strains in there. So probiotic is one way, or in addition to probiotic, you could also consume fermented foods. So fermented foods, something as common as yogurt. Yogurt is basically like fermented milk, essentially. Kefir or kefir, however you say it, is also another like fermented dairy product. Also sauerkraut. Booch, kombucha, if you like drinking that is filled with good strains of bacteria. Also kimchi is another one. There are tons of fermented foods out there, and our like grandmas and great grandmas used to eat this stuff all the time. Fermented foods used to be a staple in the American or whatever diet a few or 100 years ago or so, and they've just kind of phased out of our diet. So it's definitely something that we should try and get back to, because fermented foods are so good for our body, and they're also pretty tasty. And of course, aside from food or what you can take in order to support a healthy, happy gut, stress management, you guys, is huge. So anything that you can do to keep your stress levels, your cortisol levels, your adrenocorticoids, all of those down, that is going to help your gut, because like I said, our central nervous system can play a huge role in the functioning of our gut, because our gut and our brain, they talk. So if you're really, really stressed out and your cortisol levels and all of that are high, it can potentially lead to some kind of dysfunction or improper or not ideal functioning in the gut. So keep those stress levels down, work on stress management, and then do whatever you can food-wise, or potentially consider taking a probiotic in order to support that gut. So that is all for today's Nutrition 101 video. I hope you guys enjoyed learning all about gut health. I hope that this taught you something new. And if you are as fascinated by the gut-brain axis as I am, give this video a thumbs up. I think it is so cool. It's fascinating. But anyway, so thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, if you are enjoying my videos. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram if you want to hang out on there as well. But that is it for today. Thanks so much for hanging out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!